What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Bismo Show. I'm your host, Bismo, and tonight we are joined by a special guest, Pente Patrol Star Wars. What's going on, Anthony? How you doing?
I'm well. How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. How's Ruby?
She is insane.
A little crazy.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
brand new puppy.
Oh, uh, that is fun. I'm actually hope to see some friends this weekend, and they got a new puppy as well, new golden. So that should be exciting.
Oh,
Heck yeah. Well, tonight, we've got a fun agenda. We'll be, of course, interviewing Pent Patrol Star Wars to start off. Then we'll be talking about some Lando Show new news, which is exciting because that's finally in development. Give our thoughts there. And then just going over Ahsoka discussion and more as we're less than 3 weeks away and obviously want to hear Pent Patrol's thoughts, of course, on it. And a couple other announcements. The Bismo Show every Thursday, 8 p.m. CST. If you haven't dropped a like already, drop a like. Yeah, let's take a look at chat and just see who's some early lurkers. What's up, Icy Stormy, Kristen Allen, Jacko Hoops, Joseph Paris, Sunshine, Kaiser. What's up? Take a break, mate. Bizbro, what's up? Um, what's up, Dan? Up, I love wolves. Welcome everyone. We'll be focusing some more like chat related questions towards the end. We'll be peeking in back and forth. So make sure to put questions in there. If you throw Bismo down, it's red so I can see it and whatnot. But yeah, I've been talking a bit here. I think we got everything. Oh, one other major announcement: we finally got the Spotify up and running. So if you go on to Spotify, the Bismo Show, we should show up there now. The goal, though, is just to make it more, for commutes and all that. So if you miss the show live, you can just throw it on in the background and whatnot. But all right, I think I've talked enough. Like, give Anthony some spotlight here. But yeah, I just want to say thanks for agreeing to come on.
of course, man. Awesome. I'm happy to be here, man.
Heck yeah! And for those of you that don't know, I would be a bit shocked, but Pet Patrol Star Wars has a YouTube channel of his own. You want to talk about some of the videos you make?
Yeah, I mean, I do the Star Wars what ifs, so anything you can think of, it's probably there, honestly.
Yeah, you are an absolute machine, and I've certainly like before I really knew. I definitely have seen some of your videos just pop up in my browse features. And man, they are long, they are good. Go check him out. Go give him a sub. 100K by the end of the year, easy.
We got it. We got
Oh
it.
yeah, oh yeah, heck yeah. All right, well, let's get into the interview to start. We're gonna be picking that what if brain, get all that Star Wars knowledge out of you. No. All right, first things first, though. I usually have been asking people this, and it's kind of how I started the show, the first topic. But how did you first get into Star Wars?
You wouldn't believe me, but I have no idea. It's something that I've just always fit into, I guess, my parents aren't like big Star Wars fans by any means, but they had all the movies, and so I was just like, I was born in 2000, so right after Phantom Menace came out. So my mother told me that she used to watch it, but like never could finish it. And so I guess I was just around for the ride, and because I don't have any memory of the first time ever watching Star Wars. It's just been there.
Well, it's a good piece of IP to just be there always, and a good time to be alive. I'm 2002 here, but a lot of good merchandise. A lot of like the Clone Wars going on. Did you see Revenge of the Sith in theaters? Because I did not. But
No, no, I was
close.
I was far too young for
Yeah, I
that.
think even my first time watching it, I was pretty young, and seeing Anakin get burnt to a crisp was a bit scary, and it was a bit confusing too. It's like, what? He's Vader? When you're like, I don't want to say I was too young because I don't want to throw my parents under the bus, but no, my parents weren't. I was definitely the Star Wars nerd per se. Like, I think my dad had seen the original ones, and I think my mom as well, but like not as hardcore. I mean, for people like us to go out of our way and talk about it, almost every day or to some extent, got to be pretty into it, right? Got to love it.
Yeah, exactly. That was the same thing with my parents. My parents were both like, "Oh yeah, I saw maybe one or two of them in theaters, but like it wasn't like they don't know which one it was. They're just like, I think I saw one of them. It was cool."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, related question, but what is your favorite Star Wars movie and why? I,
Oh boy.
but it
Oh boy.
what?
It is. You guys aren't gonna believe me. It's The Last Jedi. That's my favorite Star Wars movie, and I've got a couple rationale for it. But the first one is I after I saw The Force Awakens, I dedicated myself to not seeing any of the trailers, any of the released information on the following movie. So I
That
barely
is
knew
impressive.
anything about The Last Jedi. So I hadn't seen any clips from the trailers. I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't know anything about the production or just the writing process that was going on for the film. And so I just came straight into the movie without ever having seen it before. And it was like, for me, it was like one of the best cinematic experiences I have ever had. Like just going into the movie and
Mhm.
seeing it for the first time without any preconceptions or even ideas, just going into it. I was just like, it was awesome. It was a great experience.
Yeah, heck yeah. And um although it's not my favorite, I do remember and look back fondly on my time because I mean I was in high school. My best friend, big into Star Wars like me, we bought premiere tickets to it. You know, we kind of dressed up a little bit for it, and we got some pictures with some like a Vader and some stormtroopers that were dressed up there. It was a fun time, and you know, I have my problems with the film, but I can appreciate some of the moments in it, like we don't have to get too much on it, but I do like the back half of the movie, and at least it gives like hope. And like I do find when Luke projects himself, like I did find that to be like it's seeing it in the theater was definitely crazy to say the least. And obviously visuals are great. Um yeah, my for me, Revenge of the Sith. I've watched it too many times at this point, but you can never get enough of it, you know. Definitely,
First.
yeah. I mean, but like it's tough to it's really tough to like dislike Star Wars movies in general. It's just like I just like Star Wars, you know? Like
Yeah, I'm that's exactly where I said I literally love all of it. Like it's so great. Like that's kind of where I sit. It's like doesn't matter what it is. I just kind of like I'm like, yeah, that's Star Wars. That's a part of me, you know? Like that's ingrained in me.
yeah. And even in times where like for shows and like to say I like everything 100% of the time, I would be lying with myself. I know I get some crap sometimes in the chat. It's kind of a meme at this point, but I wasn't the biggest fan of say Andor per se.
Mhm.
But I can appreciate some of the moments in it. But just in general, um, s- as long as as long as it fits some kind of criteria of like, okay, it's giving me hope. It's giving me. it- It's tough to describe it in words, but like there's that family fun. It doesn't necessarily have to be kid friendly. It could like that's beneficial per se, but as long as I have a smile on my face watching it, I'll be happy. And that's what I'm hoping for Ahsoka. I mean, I got a smile on my face from that trailer, but we'll get deeper in talking in that a bit later. Um,
Of course.
well, let's get on this next question. A little unrelated, but how did you first get into YouTube?
Um, let's see. I started doing YouTube when I was like 13. So for me, like one of the first YouTubers I ever started watching was Sky Does Minecraft. I mean,
Captain Sparkles for me. Captain Sparkles.
yeah, that team crafted Jerome ASF, Bayesian Canadian, Sunday,
Yeah.
all those guys. That was like the first group of like YouTubers I got into. And then shortly after Team Crafted broke up, I got into the Sidemen, and I roll with the Sidemen for forever. But like they've been my favorites for the longest time. But I started doing YouTube when I was 13, and it was like I was that kid in school. I was the kid where people were like, "Hey, can I join your YouTube videos?" And I was like, "I guess." And it was more so like it wasn't the "we're laughing with you, we're laughing at you" kind of thing. And
Uh,
looking back, it's like whatever, it's cool. I'm happy I stuck with something like YouTube.
that that sounded that sounded scarily very close to me because like okay for me I liked watching Captain Sparkle and stuff, but I actually was 13 when I started doing YouTube too, and it was the same experience at school where it was more so, oh, you've got a YouTube channel. It's like you know what was the worst like in school? I don't like you probably relate, but like somebody throwing up one of your videos, just throwing it on, and like
Whoa.
then like a teacher sees it or something like that, or just in general, that it the worst feeling in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So
That
I did not know that at all about you. So like to know, like, that is like some crazy connection with that. It's always just been, when I first started doing YouTube, the videos I first made were like Lego stop motion, and they were mostly Lego Star Wars. They were pretty crappy, but I was younger. It was fun to do that. And then I got into more gaming, but I've always been a fan of Star Wars, so that's why and YouTube's always been a hobby, so I've kind of shifted to like, I'm just gonna do what I want to do only. It's a hobby anyway. Like, honestly, in my youth, I made some pretty clickbaity-esque videos that like did pretty well, but like, it. I mean, YouTube these days, you gotta clickbait a little bit, but like, I'm talking, it's some of it's not worth it, and ultimately we do it for fun. We do YouTube because we enjoy doing it, right?
exactly. That's the great joy of it. It's like the best thing in the world to do. It's just, like, sometimes it's just like you gotta grind through it, but like at the end you're still like, hell yeah, I did that. That was awesome. I love this.
Yes. Yeah, the
Yeah.
satisfaction of like finishing a video, or just any project in life. It doesn't have to be YouTube. We're talking about YouTube here, but like, finish a good video, and it's like you take pride in what you do, and that can be prideful. Like, even for me, one of my like, it's not even a super viewed, like, it's not even viewed that much on my channel, but I made this like music video for the new Jedi Survivor game, between
Mhm.
Cal Kestis and like Marin, and I used a copyright song, so like I can't even make money on it, but like, I'm just proud of this, how this turned out. Like, I like watching it because I think the cuts and just the effects in it are great. I will say I did see something in chat that is distracting me a little bit because it was kind of funny, but uh Dustin said Bismo loves Andor. Don't let him fool you. He said it was the best show of 2022. the, the, the joke behind that is I lost a bet in trivia, because I lost trivia. Totally unfair, by the way. It was 1v4, me versus the entire Stay on Target crew. But the loser, in my case, I had to say Andor. I don't want to say it again. Did I? Oh, did I already say it? No. The best show of 2022. But yeah. Anyhow, I'm just getting a little sidetracked there. But to follow up on our YouTube question, because that's super interesting, and that was fun for me to learn about, to just kind of relate a bit more. But what is a actually? Yeah. Let's do this. What does a typical day in the life for you look like? Doing YouTube, and just in general though.
Chaotic is the one word. As you said earlier, I'm a machine, and that is very much so true. So the what ifs are only part of the process. I've started recording probably one of my biggest projects ever for my live action channel, which is just Pente Patrol, and so like I'm recording stuff for other things and writing scripts for other things, and planning out other things on other channels aside from the 4 videos that I write per
You're
week for
stressing me
the
out. You're stressing me out right now. No, keep going.
it gets better, don't worry. Um, and so, especially now that I added the puppy to the mix, and that's just, it's like every 2 hours I'm like going out and I'm coming back in, like get on the script. And so, like right now, I am, I'm going back. I'm going to Maryland this next week, and I'm preparing for 4 uploads for next week because I won't be able to, record them or do all that stuff. So I'd rather get them all done ahead of time. And I've gotten three videos. I think I got 3 videos done, but like
Oh my.
one of them's 30 minutes long, one of them's like 15 minutes long. It's like so I'm on the grind. But back to the original question, like before I got the dog, I was able to finish most videos around 2 or 3 in the morning. After the dog, I'm finishing them at like 7, 8, or 9 in the morning, and every video goes up at 11 in the morning. So uh, do with that what you will.
You are
Oh,
definitely an absolute machine. No. um,
yeah.
I think this would be a perfect time to just lead into the next question, though. And what's just like any one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start doing YouTube, or just wants to get into, like, has the dream of just starting out, from scratch? Like, has the dream, they want to be a YouTuber, what advice would you give them?
You gotta love it. That's literally like you gotta love it. If you don't love it, you won't be able to do it. Cause like there are times I'll be 100% honest. Like sometimes, cause like I'll fall asleep a lot of times editing videos, because I want to make sure everything is at least up to my standard, which I'm the hardest on myself than anyone could be, and so like I fall asleep sometimes doing videos, which is why I finish them at 8 or 9 in the morning, and then get them up before 11. And like if I didn't love it, that would be so incredibly difficult, especially because like when you first start out, you're not doing just the YouTube, like you're not just doing the fun part. So whatever it is that you like doing, whether you like recording videos or scripting videos or editing videos, whatever it is, like a lot of people will find one thing they like in particular about YouTube. So like if you like editing, then you'll grind through the scripting part or you grind through the recording part and then you get to the editing part. And that's the fun part. And so if you don't like those other two processes, then you're gonna hurt yourself trying to get there because like you can't just be Mr. Beast off the bat. You can't just
Yeah.
hire an editor and hire someone to record things with you and all that stuff. So you got to really love what it is that you are doing. That's the best advice. I mean, obviously there's tons of schematic things that go into it, but like you have to love it. Like that's just the baseline.
Yeah, I think you're just kind of spot on, and like to just kind of touch on that, like as someone that I'd say like I've had moderate success, like you know I would say I've had some good videos I'm definitely proud of, but to even like be able to get a video that gets say 100 views or 1,000 views, like to even get to that milestone, like you've got to be willing to put in the work. Like it's not gonna be this isn't supposed to be like, oh, you can't do it. No, it's more so if you want to do it and you love doing it, you like doing the things, then do it, right? Commit to it. But just know, just with just about anything that's good in life or in general, it's gonna take work. I mean, like I look back on some of my videos and it's like I'm not as proud of these videos, but I can see where I've improved since then, and that can help to kind of motivate me. But even me, there's like I like a vast majority of the processes, but there's sometimes like it can get like, oh, this is taking multiple hours, and all I'm doing is putting images on top of the audio that I've already done. Like, this is ready for Spotify, but not no. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, but I think your takeaway is you gotta love it, and I gotta agree with you there. Um,
Yeah.
but
And if I
even
if I can go ahead.
yeah, no, you go.
Oh, I was gonna say to piggyback off of what you said, like something that I love what Mr. Beast talks about a lot is like he talks about like how obsessed he was with it. Like I'm much like Mr. Beast. I study so much. Like I just put so many hours into it because like as he said, he was obsessed with YouTube. That's how he got to become Mr. Beast because he was obsessed with it. And I'm in that same way, shape, and form. It's like I'm consistently obsessing over every minute detail because I'm just like, all right, I got to do this better. I got to do this better. I got to do this better. I'm always trying to improve myself, and I think that also like not just on YouTube, but like you said, replays back into real life is like if you're obsessing with trying to better yourself as an individual, then consistently like shooting for being better than you were yesterday allows you to really grow as an individual, but not just an individual, but a YouTuber or whatever it is you're passionate about, which is something that I think is really cool about obsessing over it.
Yeah. Something non YouTube for me is I got addicted and obsessed over Rocket League. So, some of you might not know there's still videos on the channel went up, but like I play collegiate Rocket League. But that took thousands of hours to get to that point. Just with kind of anything, per se.
Yeah.
All right, one piece of analytical advice. The thumbnail is more important than people think. No.
Yeah, yeah, thumbnail and title. That's it.
Thumbnail,
Bread and
title.
butter.
There you go. All right, guys, you're ready to take everything we said. Just you're good now. You got those things. No.
Yeah,
But
go pass me in subs. Go ahead, do it. Right there.
oh, the thing is, some people are like, ah, it's tough. Like some people, they're like, if you want to start it, it can be your hobby. Like for me, it's definitely, it's just kind of always there and something I've always been passionate about. And you can do that. Like if you're just feeling like making a video here or there, you could take the approach of not taking it too serious. But if you want to be successful and you want to make it something, you have to work hard and you have to love it for sure. There's just no in
Oh my
between.
gosh. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
Heck
Because
yeah.
like no one who's famous gets an accident. Like in YouTube, like no one gets there accidentally. Like it's all very calculated. Like
Yeah.
sometimes you get really lucky with like an algorithmic swing and you're just like home
Mhm.
run. But like, you get there grueling. You gruel through it. Like it's not easy. And you hear that a lot with Mr. Beast. He talks about that a lot. Like that dude is stressed out of his mind. I don't know if you saw his most recent interview. It's like 2 hours long, but if you're into YouTube, that is like bread and butter. Like right there, that is bread and butter to anything you want to do in the YouTube realm. And like that dude is like stressed out of his mind, but it's you know it's
Mm.
he's employing like 200 people, so that makes sense for him to be stressed out of his mind.
Yeah. It's got such an operation. There's so much to do there per se. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I thought of something and then it just blanked on me for a second, but maybe it will come back to me as it goes. You know, we go live, think of something, then it just. But um, yeah, no. Oh yeah, no. Even like one good, like super good video that like a video that takes off or even gets lucky usually isn't going to be enough. You know, that's what I was trying to get at, I guess. Like definitely got to be consistent with it per se. But all right, I think we've given you guys all the tips to success. Oh no, yeah, I did see a Mr. Beast clip, and of like maybe not the most recent one, but just it's pretty simple as far as just videos go. You have to make people want to watch the video or watch the video longer than other videos. Like that's
Yeah.
it's watched there. But all right, we'll get into a little bit more nerdy discussion. I think we've done all you can, but you want to start a YouTube channel, just do it. But just know the path to success isn't easy, just like anything. But you can always just do it for fun if you want to do that too. All right, what is your favorite Star Wars character?
There's a mix for me. I've got like a top three that consistently revolve, maybe four or five, but just to keep it brief, my top three or four, I guess, would revolve around Luke, Obi-Wan, Plo, and Rey. Those would be my top four, and it's interchangeable, so it changes consistently. But
Well, you
yeah,
named
that
my
is.
favorite. No. Oh, General Kenobi, but no, that's definitely a solid pick. But I'm seeing all Jedi there. You know, your light side.
Yeah, I like for example, like Obi-Wan, I really like Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan and Luke's arcs are very similar to each other in all honesty. Like the Obi-Wan Kenobi show is very similar to Luke's arc in Last Jedi, which is, it's an arc of
Mhm.
consistently changing. Which I enjoy about them is especially with Obi-Wan because like he loses everyone, whether it's Qui-Gon, Satine, Anakin, like he just loses everybody,
Yeah.
but he always stays true to who he is, and that's also something I like about Rey, is like while she's not the same as Obi-Wan, she never changes she always stays true to herself. That's what I'm trying to say. She always stays true to herself, and that's why I personally like her a lot because she's always true to herself.
Yeah. I like that reason. I just gotta say, like, yeah, Kenobi, same exact reasonings for me. Like, he goes through all that. To just kind of he stays in the light through all of it. Like,
Yeah.
how does Anakin fall when when Obi's got all that going on? I do like some of the more like I'm a big Darth Bane fan simply because I've read a lot of the books, but like he created the rule of two, and I like that. It's just very interesting, very interesting. You know, seeing different sides of the spectrum, and Thrawn is up there. Thrawn is very interesting to me, and I'm excited to see him in live action. Read some books on him, some canon books, but non-Force users that can compete in a universe of Force users like that is always interesting. How he can hang, with the best and still. Yeah, no, good
Yeah.
picks. I would say, for reference, I'm somewhere more in the middle. I mean, my brand is like the blade. I would use probably an amethyst blade. You know, not just the dogmatic view of the Jedi. No, all aspects of the Force. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it.
So, what is your favorite like show or movie outside of Star Wars though? What else, or just passions, other things you're into? You know.
Um, that's the hard thing because I'm not gonna lie. I always like because I do so much content in Star Wars. I always have Star Wars on the background in some way, shape, or form. So it's like whether it's Rebels and or Kenobi, whatever. There's always something Star Wars related on. So I'm used to just having Star Wars on. But outside of Star Wars, like show wise, regular show. That show is mental. That show is absolutely up. Like I love it because it's super short. So like whenever I'm writing, I could take like a 15-minute break, watch it, eat a Mr. Beast bar. Not gonna lie, and then I'd be like,
Are they
oh, that's
good?
great. They're amazing. They are so good.
I've wanted to try them. I really wanted to try them.
Shameless plug for Mr. Beast bars, but they are so good. I actually ate one before we got on
As
today.
if he needs it. No. Like that's your fuel. That's the secret. All right, we just learned Adventure's secret. Eat a bar and you'll be good to go. I see it.
That's exactly.
I see a guitar back there. You play some? But you get into music at all?
Oh yeah, yeah. I just graduated from Berkeley College of Music.
Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But yeah, I love music. Trying to get back into that's another one of the things I'm trying to consistently do on the daily basis. But to answer your other half of the question, favorite movie wise would be How to Train Your Dragon. I got the tattoo for Toothless.
Oh wow. I know I don't know if I see them in the chat, but one of our moderators, Olivia, that's like one of her favorite things. It's like her Discord profile, or at least was. Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. Um I remember seeing that in theaters and that was a lot of fun. It's been a while. Did they make 2 or 3 of them? I thought for sure at least a
There's
sequel.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, 3. I got to sit down and just like rewatch them all, but it was definitely fun because I've always just liked dragons in general. But um
Yeah.
heck yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, that I love it. I love it so much. I actually I have a bearded dragon. And you can see it in the chat. They're mentioning Toothless. I have a bearded dragon and she's mental, but like her name is Toothless too.
That's awesome. I mean, as you should name them that. I mean, if I'm being honest, I would probably if I get some kind of dog or cat, which I hope to, I would probably name something after Star Wars or something. You know, something in there. I'd think about it, but yeah, that's
Of
awesome.
course.
I remember a friend that had one of those very interesting creatures.
They're really goofy. I think you'd like them. Actually, funny story you mentioned naming a pet after a Star Wars character. The same place like Kennel or whatever it is that I got Ruby at, there was another couple. I think there was a couple that adopted a dog and they named the dog Satine. And I was like, that's so cool. But that dog's gonna have the hardest time trying to learn that name.
Yeah. Mean. Yeah. That's fun, but yeah, it would get used to it. I think it's like I mean they know their names, but I think they know when you're talking to them from the voices, like the different. Uh, Um, okay,
Yeah.
well, um, we're gonna take a break here. We're gonna segue into our more a little bit more gritty, a little bit more nerdy discussion. We'll be talking about Lando and the Lando Show, the news that came out there. So stay tuned, and of course, we'll get into the Ahsoka discussions because some news, multiple news stories actually came out in the last couple of days that we are gonna talk about. But yeah, we will be right back. And we are back. Before we get started with this Lando discussion and Ahsoka stuff, a couple of things. If you want to support the channel, become a bizbro. And also check out the merch store. And I see you're rocking your Pente Patrol Star Wars shirt. You got a merch store of your own?
Yeah, I do. I don't know if I want to plug it yet. I'm working on more. I'm working on making newer designs, like stuff
Okay.
that are a little bit
Yeah.
more flashy. Not just
Yeah. That's
not just a logo. Logo is cool and all, but I want
yeah.
something more
Yeah. No.
distinguished.
Well, I might have to stay in tune. Stay in tune for that. Yeah. No, when I was working on my merch, I was like, it's not ready. I don't want to send it out. I think somebody had found mine and bought. I'm like, well, I hope it turned out okay because no, it was good, but yeah, no, definitely want it to be ready. But
Yeah.
just like take a peek at chat here, see what people have been saying. A lot of the toothless talk. The dancing Yoda the- is the biggest figure I think tonight.
I I think you're right.
Toothless OnlyFans.
Oh boy.
I'm seeing a
Here we
lot of
go.
that. Whoa, what is going on?
Oh boy. Oh
um,
gosh.
Shout out to Take a Break, man. I just want to say, I know it's like 3 or 4 a.m. for him. Grinder in the chat. Appreciate the support. Antonio, how could you do this? They really want the they really want the OnlyFans from Toothless.
Oh, I'm
Or
sure they do.
oh my. Uh,
I just post pictures of my tattoo. I'll just keep edging until I put a picture of the actual dragon on there.
uh, well, let's get into some of this Lando discussion. Get into a little, get kind of deep in there. Um, Definitely was excited to see this news because I mean I think I've kind of talked about this. All right, Bismo, let's hear those controversial Star Wars takes. Not yet. I don't think we're there yet. But the Lando news that came out, for those of you that didn't see it, this was long thought that the Lando show was just not in development, but it was announced just a few days ago that Donald Glover and his brother are going to be the ones writing it, and it's starting development actually. So it's been confirmed that, and I forget who was originally supposed to be writing it, but they were either let go or something. But the exciting news is we get to see a Lando show, which honestly I was excited about. So I was sad to not hear that many updates for. What do you think of the news? Like, what do you think? Are you excited?
Oh my gosh, I'm super excited. That was one of the shows that I was most excited for. Because Lando is such a cool character, and you could do so much with him. Because he pops in and out of everything. I loved Solo. I thought Solo was so fun.
I
So
did
like,
too. I
yeah,
did
it would have been
too.
so
They left
fun.
that story. Where was the rest of the movies? uh,
That would have been such a cool trilogy too, because I think it was supposed to be a trilogy. Like they're gonna have
yeah,
Maul as like the whole. I think it was
yeah,
gonna lead from Maul to where we see him in Rebels. So like how he
hmm
ended up there, and
yeah,
so that I was upset that they didn't continue that. But like that was that Lando and or Donald Glover, and that was so good. Like he was perfect as Lando.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I love Donald Glover, and I like his music too. If I'm being honest, so a little biased there,
yeah.
but I'm a Rebels rewatch, and I forgot that he was even Lando was even in it, but it was cool to see him. He's just so sly. He's just so smooth and cool. But um, what I wanted to I guess get your take on, because I definitely have some thoughts, but what do you think the show will be about? Like just a Lando show in general. Like, what do you think they could do with it?
I mean, you could do a lot with it because we got kind of like a cool take of Lando's character in both Rebels and Solo because like in Rebels he's a bit more mature, but I don't believe that in Rebels he had Cloud City yet. I don't think he had Cloud City at that point. I might be wrong, but I don't think he was there
I
yet.
think that matches up. I don't think he would be mining on Lothal for what's probably chump change compared to, you know, running a whole
Yeah,
city, right? Or whole
yeah. So
planet basically.
exactly, and so I don't like. I think you could do so many fun adventures with Lando just being him. So like I think it could be more of like an action adventure show where he's like on different worlds, kind of like Rebels, honestly,
Yeah.
where it's like bouncing on and off worlds with different, miniature arcs. I'm guessing they would do like a 6 episode season, but with someone like Donald, I mean, he's expressed like as a kid, like Lando was like his favorite character. So I think for him, there's gonna be a lot of love into whatever
Yeah,
story he comes
that's what I'm
up with.
excited about. Like that for me, that's like the biggest thing is for whoever's working on it, whether you're a writer, actor, like you got bonus points if you like Star Wars and you like the lore. Like obviously, like not to say it's not good to have different perspectives, but I'm gonna like you got brownie points in my book if you like it per se. Um, I saw Emin Esfandi. He liked my tweet a couple times. Oh my gosh, the Ahsoka actor, but I was excited to see him in that. Yeah, no, I think that's similar to what I think you could. There's a lot. It's just so he's so versatile of a character. I was kind of thinking like maybe this isn't the whole show. It could be, but I wanted to see Sabak explored a bit more. Like we see it played in games, but you could kind of almost not to say focus the show, but maybe a couple episodes where there's like a Sabak arc, and he could be cheating, he could be not, but just seeing him kind of have this come up in these dangerous situations, playing, maybe whether it's illegal or non-empire sanctioned in these off-world outer rim planets, and there's like, oh, there's a bounty hunter or something. There's some kind of standoff, but just kind of exploring that more. Not to say like he's not necessarily a bounty hunter, right? But more like gritty and like scoundrel esque out there type things, and see him as a pilot more so. And I mean, he loses the Falcon in Solo, right? It's been a little bit, right? He was at
Yeah,
Han.
yeah, it's at the end of the movie.
Yeah, so my question would be is when would it take place though? Like do you think it could be like throughout multiple time frames, but would they do it after the Solo movie? After like Return of the Jedi? I would feel like it would be more fun to do it in his prime or his come up per se.
Yeah, and I think based on Donald's age, it gotta do it like right after Solo. I don't remember how old Lando is in the canon, but like, well, you've got something post Return of the Jedi, like I think it's Shadow of the Sith. That
Mhm.
that that story about Luke and Lando, it's very much so like a Lando Luke book. It's just very so much to focus on them. I haven't read it, but like I've heard a lot of good things about it, and so you've got something kind of sitting in that gap right there. And so I think post solo is where you want to be, where you can let them, um, maneuver with, because there's so much there to do.
Yeah, and if even what they could do too is like if they do it post Solo or even kind of during that, because I mean they could make it work. We could actually play out that story that they maybe had told or parts of it. So you could even, I mean, it's not that I need Maul, but like, what if they tied up some of those loose ends that they left us hanging on? I also am a big fan of Amelia Clark and her work, and I was interested to see more on her character.
Oh my gosh, Kira is so great. Actually, I've learned in doing like research for videos, Kira interacts with Leia a couple of times, and she was at the time captain, but Vice Admiral Holdo from Last Jedi. She interacts with the rebellion several times after Crimson Dawn falls, and I think
Oh,
I think Kira was trying to rebuild Crimson Dawn at a certain point. So like her arc like continues after Crimson Dawn falls, which is really really pretty cool.
wow, yeah, that's a long time, um, a good chunk of time. Yeah, there's so much in that area. I forget, kind of similar ish time frame relatively, but the Outlaws game might give a similar ish perspective of some of that. Do you play any of the games?
No, so I'll sometimes from time to time stream like on Battlefront 2, but like I'm not like a really big gamer person. Like I just can't play games by myself. Like I need to be playing with somebody or streaming. So like I can't really get into something like that. But Outlaws look really cool because it's different, it's a little bit different than just a Jedi. And so for me that's more so interesting because you get to be an outcast, it's more GTA like, which
Yeah,
seems pretty cool. So that I might get that. That sounds a lot kind of more down my alleyway, but we'll
yeah,
see.
yeah. I'm in. I'm definitely a gamer. First off, I'm certainly a gamer. Play. I've toned back a bit, but that's like as far as getting me into Star Wars, that really like helped cement it. Playing a lot of them, especially like the OG Battlefront as a kid.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
like yeah, I still do play Battlefront, like the new Battlefront 2 time to time. It can be fun. Fun. Uh,
That it's either really wholesome or full of sweats. There's no in between.
yeah, no, definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
I would have to agree. I honestly end up. I'd like to think I'm helping my team when I'm sniping from the edges, but maybe not. Maybe not. Uh, yeah, no. But as far as the Lando show goes, like, yeah, I think we're both excited, and I mean, I'm a fan of Donald Glover, and just in general, I think good actor, good musician, and I think that would help. I think some just in general, he could bring a little bit like of it, maybe just like more like just a different perspective per se, or just like I don't know, like having the main actor being the one to write it, gives him a little bit more freedom to do a lot. Like obviously with the Kenobi show, Ewan McGregor, my favorite actor, he was a producer on it, per se, but like he probably got to make some decisions. But main actor of the show that's already played the character, that is invested in the character, getting able to get in there and kind of make a lot of the decisions, most of the decisions. It sounds like that could be a lot of fun. It could be really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think what Lando will probably end up looking like, and this is a hot take probably, but like I bet you it'll look like Andor but more lighthearted. So like kind of like the diversity that you see in Andor, where you have like different planets. I'm not necessarily saying Coruscant, but like probably
Yeah,
Tatooine, and having that great diversity of like all these different locations, but
yeah.
like the lightheartedness of like Rebels. I think that would be probably what we would see in Lando. I could be completely
Yeah.
wrong, but
No, I think that's a good bet. I would expect we're gonna see some of Lando's charisma either way. Some gotta see some sly moves, and uh, he likes to. He at the end of the day, he likes to make a profit when he can. But yeah, either way that would be fun. Ultimately, I just want it to be created. I want it to be make it through the creative process. So obviously, with like the strikes going on and all that, I'm not sure how that affects current development. I'm sure it's still obviously early stages per se, but this probably at least gives him the time, because I mean it's not illegal for him to think about what he's going to do for the show, right? Start thinking about some ideas and kind of plan out on his own, per se. But yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Let's transition to some Ahsoka discussion, because I haven't heard your takes yet, but I want to, like, first off, how excited are you for Ahsoka?
I'm psyched for Ahsoka, which is really ironic because everyone ever on my channel claims that I hate her.
What? How did that end up happening?
It's actually a really pretty funny story. There was there was a string of like probably 3 videos in a row. It was last summer, so it was like about a year ago when my channel was starting to grow. But I did like a string of videos where like I just happened to kill Ahsoka off, and so it became a running joke on my channel that I absolutely hated Ahsoka. And you see this with other channels like Star Wars Galaxies. He told me that people are like always ask him why he hates Kenobi or why he always kills Obi-Wan. And it's just like it just gets caught crossfire. But um, ever since then, I got like after that happened, I got like a barrage of comments like, "Why do you hate Ahsoka?" And I was like, "I don't, but I'll kill her again."
Yeah.
So
I I can get that. I mean, I've made a few what ifs. Like, it's not like it takes me a while. Again, I don't know how you can whip them up, but like it takes me a bit to kind of put them together. But there's definitely like it's almost like like I think about there's kind of the story and kind of what makes sense. But there's definitely been some comments of like, this wouldn't have made sense due to this, and this. I'm like, well, this is a what if, because what actually happened actually happened.
oh yeah, yeah, we love those comments, don't we?
Yeah. Like, okay, like you're fun. You make a what if. What do you do? Okay, no, what's going on with that? Stay on target. Says great thoughts on Lando. Appreciate that. Uh, yeah, and shout out to Stay on Target. We were just on their show last week, so go check that out. And we before we had Dust on. I saw a good question. I'm trying to find it before we like get too deep in the Ahsoka discussion, but uh, Go Reka Dragstein. I'm sorry if I butchered the name, but wonder if he'll cross paths with Hondo Onaka. I love Hondo.
I
I
saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
like.
What is your take on it?
I need to see Hondo at some point. where has he been? Like they can't, they're doing my man dirty. I need to see him in live action. What's going on here? No, that would be a perfect opportunity. I mean, at this point, I'm begging. I was like, maybe he's gonna show up in Mando season 3. I mean, we're seeing some pirate stuff, like and all that, but it's kind of a reach. But what do you think?
Dude, I'm 100% with you. Hondo is always profitable, and you gotta have Hondo in a show about pirating. He shows up in Rebels a bunch of times. He's great in Rebels, and so like that's a perfect segue. I can't remember for the life of me if he interacted with Lando inside of Rebels or not. So I don't believe he did. I'm fairly confident he didn't.
Mhm.
So because he didn't, I think that leaves perfect opportunity for the two of them
Oh,
to like dislike each other, maybe.
yeah. Wait, no, that I because I'm currently on my rewatch. They didn't meet, but Ezra, when he meets Hondo, he says his name is Lando Calrissian. He's just like, "Oh, Lando, like, I've heard a lot about you." But then
Yeah.
he realizes he's not. But yeah, I think that would be perfect. I would love for like even if it's just one episode, or they could team up. I would be okay if they're like just doing business the whole show. But what if like they have a job, they somehow meet and do it together, and then we just get a at the end of it, it's going bad, and Hondo's like, "This effort is no longer profitable," and just abandons Lando. Mid-flight. I love
Oh
Hondo.
my gosh. I love him so much.
It's almost
Actually,
worth
yeah,
just.
while we're on, sorry.
Mhm. Oh, you're good. Go for it.
Uh, I was gonna say, while we're on the topic of Hondo, I've asked one of the people that make thumbnails for me to make a thumbnail for what if Hondo was a Jedi. So for people that watch my channel, um,
Oh, I will be I'll be tuning in on that. That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Okay. Well, I'm always okay with shifting the focus to talk some Hondo, but getting back to business as the saying goes on this channel. No, but yeah, I Ahsoka, that trailer, the first teaser trailer, like my reactions are genuine to that. Like I haven't been this excited for something in a while. I feel like I say that because I genuinely try to be optimistic, but like this time for real, like my excitement level of the past like multiple trailers I've seen, I'm just so excited. And I just love Dave Filoni's work because I'm just such a big fan of Clone Wars, Rebels, and especially rewatching Rebels right now is just getting me that much more excited. And I've done a couple of videos just talking about it's Rebel season 5 per se, but excitement level is through the roof. And yeah, there were definitely will ask you some specific questions about it, but just to go over some news that came out. So the runtime came out for the show, which is leaked from various reliable sources or whatever. But the premiere, which is a 2 episode release, the combined runtime is 1 hour and 36 minutes. So shave off about 15 minutes of credits. We're looking at a solid hour and 15 minutes of Ahsoka live action Star Wars on August 23rd. Now that's hype. I mean, that's like what average 40-minute episode, I'd say. I tried. Okay, I say that I ask as if I did the math. Okay.
yeah, no, yeah, I mean that's awesome. I mean, I'm happy they're giving us double premiere because what other show did they do that with? They did that with Kenobi, didn't they?
Yeah, that. See, I had a really fun memory because I it was a big weekend. I brought over 2 of my closest friends, and it was just a fun like hangout to like when they do that. It's almost like a movie, like get together, that kind of thing. I will say, I think about it's like, oh, got a lot of work to do that day. Now it's like that much content coming out. But no, it'll be fun. Um, oh, I think, uh, what a couple things I want to ask though is general. I've been asking people in general. I asked Dustin when he came on, but when do you think we'll see like Ezra make an appearance? We've seen him in the hologram. Will it be during the season, or when will we get to see him?
I think Ezra will probably show up really early on. I think the way based off of like Dave's storytelling, he's going to want to layer in characters that general audiences aren't familiar with. Because Ezra is not exactly like for example, if people just watch Clone Wars, which is very very like that's just pretty common because people don't like Rebels art style. Um, like if people have just watched Clone Wars, he's gonna want to introduce other characters. So I think well, at least with the trend that we see in Disney Star Wars is like whatever you see in the trailer typically shows up in the first 2 or 3 episodes. So everything in episodes like so for example, if it's a 6 episode season, typically what you'll see is the first three, and you won't see four, five, and six. And so I believe that's what we're going to see with this one. So I don't know if this technically spoils, but what I think is going to happen, I think we're going to start with Balin and I can't remember her name, but that
Shin
scene on
Shin
yeah, yeah.
Hati.
I think we'll start with them on the New Republic cruiser, whatever it is.
I'm down
I
for
think that's
that.
where we start.
I'm
I think
down
that's
for
where we
that.
start.
I'm down
Yeah.
for that. Yeah, I think that kind of goes in line with a lot of people in chat were saying when we were talking with this. And Dustin was saying, I was saying, if if it's the first 2 episodes, if the first 2 episodes is that what that trailer is, then maybe three. You're telling me we got 5 more fresh episodes at the very least? We've there's multiple like lightsaber fights just between Shin and Sabine in that little time frame there. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this
Yeah.
might be the most action packed piece of Star Wars content ever. Like, we'll see. Obviously, like from my perspective and just like seeing the stories on it and just context of Rebels and just the trailer audio, it seems like it's obviously some kind of race against the clock, almost of like Thrawn and Ezra are off in this unknown space, and the good guys got to get there and beat out the bad guys that are trying to get there. And if it's kind of a race against the clock almost per se, like from a very simple standpoint. I'm
Yeah.
down for that. I'm down for that race.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I know you're doing your rewatch of Rebels, but I love Rebels. Rebels is my like favorite Star Wars animated show. And like the dynamic between Ezra and Thrawn is so funny. And so I really hope they continue that in this show. I mean, like they've been with each other for like 6 years, 6 or 7 years in this unknown location. So like because they've been with each other for so long, like there's got to be some kind of development that happens between them as characters. But like you'll see in Rebels in the later seasons, like their interactions with each other are just like really funny. There's like this one time I'm remembering off the top of my head, Ezra like slides over a crate by accident and he like lands and he's like, oh, and he looks over and Thrawn is just looking at him. He's like, how interesting. And it's just like it's just a really funny moment between the two of them, and so I hope we continue like that little like goofy thing that was in Rebels in the show with Ezra and Thrawn.
Yeah, and definitely, I haven't got. I think I'm like close to end of season 2 ish on my current rewatch. I've got. This is like part of my job now. I'm like 3 episodes a day to just if I'm gonna finish this because I forgot how many episodes there are. But just seeing Thrawn in live action because I think. Well, I don't know if I read like I no I had watched Rebels, but just seeing him in the canon books, like seeing how he interacts, it's so similar and just how calculated he is. It's so exciting. But to go off of what you piggyback a little bit, what you're saying with the Thrawn Ezra dynamic, I think I've said this before, but I would love if they just like throw a curveball and completely new footage to start, and it's Thrawn and Ezra. It doesn't have to be current day, but when they like explaining a little bit of what they're doing and them having to work together, 5-10 minute clip in this unknown spot with the Purgles, them being forced to work together because they're like the only ones there. What if they started out with that, or just a start of an episode could be fun if we know that it could be like a mid-season episode, but I would love to see that interaction. But and because obviously they were together and then they blipped or whatever with the Purgles, they jumped to hyperspace, this new spot that everyone else has got to figure out how to get there, but they've been there for a while. Obviously, if we're seeing Thrawn interact with like Morgan Elsbeth, because it seems like from that he's figured out or they've figured out how to get away from each other. Um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of unanswered questions, but that's
Oh
the fun
yeah.
of it. That's the fun of this all.
Yeah, and that's I think that's something that was really cool and really well set up in Mando season three was like they had the whole Shadow Council and I can't remember the Imperial officer's name that worked with Thrawn really closely, but like they really set up room for like Thrawn to have a really large part of the construction of the First Order, and so I really look forward to seeing how he was actually a part of that because like obviously you can't have Thrawn in the original trilogy because he's
Yeah.
Thrawn. So you need to have, I guess, some way for him to, I guess, some way to explain like where he was and kind of like how he got involved with the Shadow Council.
Yeah, Dave is like he is crazy because it's like I'm when I was breaking down the trailer, I'm like these are the same exact two scenes, but it's like what Rebels ended what 5 6 years ago, and he's been thinking all this time all about what you basically we've been talking about what you just kind of said there. Like he's based on what I'm getting at, it's or what we're getting at, it's and what we're seeing. It seems like a lot of this is gonna be explained, and it's all been planned from the beginning. And I've heard some different interviews in the past, like of people talking about Dave, and he's like, it's crazy to be with him. You know, he get on the whiteboard, he's got everything like all mapped out and crazy. And it's nice to kind of get deeper into these shows to see some of this more come to fruition and see this interconnection and better explaining too of how it's kind of all connected too. But I also do like the fun of like um different stories. Like we have familiar characters, but it's almost kind of like a different story if we're going to kind of a different place, a fun new environment, something to change up the scope per se.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah. So did you answer when see Ezra, or did I talk too much? I'm not sure. Ezra mid season, or when will we see Ezra?
Um, I think he's gonna have the establish. I think he's gonna have an establishing scene in the first, like, maybe first episode or two, and then we probably won't see him for like another couple episodes.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That
I
that,
think it would
that
be cool, like what they did with Kenobi, where they showed like, because like when you go into Kenobi, you like kind of need a little refresher. So it'd be kind of cool if they did like like a live action reshoot of Ezra's sacrifice, which you mentioned,
yeah.
because that's one of my favorite scenes in Rebels is like that parallel between him, Depa Billaba, and Kanan. It's just like a really cool parallel. So if they reshot that just so people know what happened while playing his message over to the rebels at the end of the season, because I think that's no, is it the message? I
I
don't think it is the message
I
in the
I've
trailer.
made I've made a couple videos on it. It from my perspective, it seems like it is the message, but it might be a slightly different. It's tough to say because there are some parts of it that are verbatim, and there's also some parts that are like not verbatim, and they're just similar. They're not exactly the same message. So how I interpreted it, and based on because there were exact scenes, I interpreted it as that it just was reshot, you know, as their counterpart. Maybe it wasn't verbatim, which would be a little no, I'm not too picky, but you know, you probably want to make it verbatim if it is. But um, yeah, I do like that it's just a transition though, straight from Rebels, and I mean, although I like Clone Wars more, Rebels is the best of Rebels and the best of Clone Wars are like on the same. I think the only reason I like Clone Wars more is there's just more in general. Like there's just so much in it, but Um, yeah, and I've said this every stream, pretty much every video I've made in the past month. If you haven't watched Rebels, running out of time. Yeah, you should really watch that before Ahsoka. And they've said you don't like a lot of actors say, yo, you don't need it, but you'll certainly benefit from it. Like, it's what from my perspective, the trailer, everything. This is Rebel season 5, is it not? Like basically,
Yeah, it's gonna be Rebels season 5. I mean,
I mean,
but
it's Dave. Like,
yeah,
what were
and I
you
mean
saying?
Rebels is such a great arc, and I think it's gonna just pick up right where it left off. But like you said, I don't think you'll need to have seen it, but like the emotional fulfillment you feel, you might have more of it when you're watching
Yeah.
Ahsoka having previously watched Rebels.
Yeah, for sure. So I would recommend watch Rebels, or at least watch the essential episodes. Watch some of them to get a feel. I think you'll enjoy it more. It'll be a much more rewarding experience. Um, for me, like we do some ship videos on my channel, like Bo Din and now Ezra Bean. So the reunion between Ezra and Sabine, that might be pretty emotional for me, and also just like a big talking point in general. I'm curious to see when they'll be able to uh just have a reunion. Obviously, like the rest of Ghost Crew in general. I made a video on this too, but no Zeb in the trailer. We see Zeb in season 3 of The Mandalorian. Um, think it's just he's not in those first few episodes, or does he not have a place in the show? Like I feel like if they're going to find Ezra, Zeb's gotta want to help to some extent, or is he just preoccupied?
Yeah, I mean, knowing Dave and how you and I talked about that a couple minutes ago, I he's always planning, like he's always scheming out these massive ideas. So like I feel like it could have been like setting it up for him to be in that area already. So for him to just kind of show up, it wouldn't be random. It would be like for example, if you've never watched Rebels or you don't watch the if you don't watch the animated shows and you saw Mandalorian and you see that big Lasat, that's probably your first time seeing a Lasat character in Star Wars. So like having that little cameo there for him would be a nice way to set him up to show up in Rebels.
For sure, yeah. I think it's just my concern was like no, not in trailer at all. Like we still, but I'm sure there's an explanation. Some people were saying, "Oh, it's the CGI. It's so expensive. They're finishing it up." And I remember when the teaser came out, Dave Filoni at Celebrations, he was like, "Yeah, we're still working on some of the finishing touches, so that was just a teaser, you know." And I know Dave's pretty like doesn't want to show a lot. So when we got that official trailer and how much was in it, I'm like, this show is gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
uh,
I'm excited for our favorite war criminal Chopper. I can't wait to see him in live action.
I just watched an episode last night where he I think blew up an entire like Star Destroyer.
He's like a KD of like 51,000 to like he's killed like 51,000 people. Dude's the psycho.
He's an absolute menace. Just every time there's like, oh, we got a new droid in the family. There's just one where he kicks him out of the ship. Like, uh, he looks like. I mean, I don't have any. I don't. Some people were having problems like, oh, Hera doesn't look like. I think everyone looks pretty good. Like, from like what I could tell, Chopper looks great. Hera looks good. Also, Hera being the IRL life to Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's kind of a cool little like not like a cameo per se, but interconnection
Yeah.
to the universe ish. But it's just a funny thing. But we are getting
Yeah.
a bit past the hour mark, so we'll be if you guys have anything in chat, we'll look through, kind of answer some questions if you have for myself or Anthony here. Also, I did forget to mention, if you have topics you want to talk about for the show or just ideas, or you or someone you know might want to come on as a guest appearance, the email is bismoshow@gmail.com. Just about forgot my own email. Also, shout out to Spotify listeners. As I said, we got Spotify up and running, so if you're listening on Spotify right now, I appreciate but take a peek at chat, and if you see anything too, anything that is
Of course.
and also shout out to Chad. I've been looking over. Obviously, you know, we're having a good discussion here, but definitely been taking into account. And I just appreciate the support as always. You guys, you know, coming in live and appreciate. We love Chopper though. I'm seeing a lot of Chopper love.
Oh yeah, we gotta have the Chopper
25,000
love.
kills. Zeb has a job, can't be flying around the galaxy, but doesn't his job involve stopping like bad guys like Thrawn? Well, from a point of view, it's from a certain point of view. uh,
um, oh boy.
little toothlessness.
Yeah, another toothless OnlyFans request.
What if Ezra took Thrawn back to his homeworld to be with his people? What if Ezra took Thrawn back to Lothal? That would be. I mean, it would be interesting per se, but like I feel like we've seen a lot of that. I feel like maybe like what if we saw the Chiss world somewhere in here, some kind of interconnection? That would be a lot to take in.
Yeah, I wonder if Dave is gonna intentionally, because like no one, aside from people that read the books, no one's gonna really know about the Chiss and all that. So, as someone that doesn't read the books that much, I'm not even that familiar with them. So, like, I feel like Dave will probably put something to do with the Chiss in there. So
Uh, well, yeah, it would be cool to see like well, it doesn't have to happen, but like if we saw some other Chiss or he was talking to some other Chiss, some on the holocron in the books, the Chiss ascendancy, which is basically like Navy for the Chiss, kind of, I believe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on, but it'd be cool to just throw some Easter eggs kind of in there. Not even Easter eggs, but they could certainly relate to the story because, from my perspective, even though Thrawn is a bad guy or a counter, what do they call it? Counter evil or counter
Antihero?
anti-hero? Yeah, that's what I was. Um, he's still, a lot of what he does is for the protection of his home world and the Chiss people in general. So it'd be cool to if we get some of that, see some more of his intentions revealed, or if he's just gone full dark side at this point and is just more evil. Because you could see that even some just in general, and that's the whole like Star Wars, just the story of if you have the power or something, and how that can lead to corruption or just becoming evil per se, or and that battle between keeping good and doing what's right when we can. No,
Yeah,
Thrawn. Oh, sorry.
I think you see that at the end of Rebels with how he treats Lafal and how he uses it against like Ezra and the Rebels.
Yeah, I do recall the books. It's like you and it just like when you're reading the books, like even whether it's Plague. Well, I'm just thinking. I've read Darth Bane trilogy, Darth Plagueis, and Thrawn. I need to read a few more light side or hero books, but it's they're always painted from like that's who you're rooting for in the story because that's what the story is about per se. But like from the book's perspective, it's almost like Thrawn's a good guy ish, but like obviously we don't see that in his intentions in Rebels and all.
Yeah. Actually, I got a question for you, Bismo.
Mhm. Yeah, what's up?
So, what do you think? Because you mentioned reading the books, and one thing that I've wanted to get into is High Republic. So, what is your take, or what are your thoughts on like High Republic novels, or even Acolyte? So, what do you think about that stuff?
Oh yeah, Acolyte. Well, I just want to say Jedi Survivor for me. With the most recent game that follows Cal Kestis, they got into a lot of High Republic lore there that got me a little bit more interested in the era in general. I haven't read the books, but learning more about the High Republic through that game and just seeing, like, I love their like the robes they have are more like golden, like whitish robes. It just seems like they're at their height of their power. But if the act like is taking place during that, and we talked a bit on this last week and a week before here, but um, I I'm super pumped because they claim that's gonna have the most Jedi out of any Star Wars material, more than the Episode 2, more than like the Coliseum. But
Yeah.
I'm interested to learn more about it. It's closer to the Old Republic, and I'm a big fan of the Old Republic. So like, it'd be cool to see that like to learn more about that, to see that kind of transition and the different rules that there are. To see it, how we get to the extremely dogmatic view that causes the demise of the Jedi. How much do you know about her? Like you High Republic like fan?
So I've gotten into it a little bit. I haven't like been able to jump into it, but like there was a video I did last week. Yeah, last week, and it was what if Yoda died during the High Republic? And I really wanted to make sure I knew what I was talking about because like I don't want to just tell like I don't want to make stuff up about the High Republic. And so I did like a deep dive on it, and I spent so many hours just like researching it, and I only used like 4 minutes for it, but like it's all about the High Republic trying to go outwards. So you see how the High Republic wants to go into the Outer Rim, and then how they're pushed back by a group called the Nihil, Nihil. So like kind of like nihilists. Um,
Oh,
and they're like a band of marauders, and so you see the Jedi how they interact with them, and they're like these knights of the Republic, they're heroes, and they're portrayed in this awesome light. And this is something that I thought was really cool, and I really touch on sometimes in videos a lot lately because I've just learned about it. But like during the High Republic, there was a period where there were three Grand Masters at the same time. It was Yoda, LaRue, and Prater, and Prater is like he looks a little bit like Opal Rancisis, and LaRue looks like a dinosaur. Um,
okay. Okay.
but but there was a point when the council had three Grand Masters on it, and it's really interesting to see how Yoda's dogmatic view becomes more complacent over time, and I think that's kind of what the point is, kind of like showing like Yoda might be one of the most powerful, wisest Jedi of all time, but he at a certain point just stopped going forward. And you see that, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you see that with this thing called the Starlight Beacon. It looks a little bit like the Star Forge, but
Ooh, yeah.
it's like this. It was an initiative made by the Chancellor in the High Republic to set up stations for the Republic to operate out of, so they could go further into the Outer Rim. I let your
That
imagination do the work, but
yeah, no, that's super interesting. I might have to keep a looking at it. Mentioned Starforge. I just finished up Revan video that I was for a while, so I was deep in that old Republic-y mindset for a while. Just see more like Star Wars like has technology in it that's like cool, but it's not. It's more of a fantasy. But to see sometimes we see some of these like crazier machines put to use per se. Just the mystery of some of how that power gets multiple grandmasters at the same time. I hadn't thought of it, or like I guess I didn't look into it much, but like that's very interesting to say the least. Like how does that, is it kind of, how does like the council decide on stuff to do? Is it like the grandmasters have the most say? Is it like a 2 to 1, like they have to have 2 out of 3 agree on stuff? Or I don't know, this is a pretty technical question. I'm interested
I'm
how that
I'm not
would
gonna lie.
work.
I don't really know. Like I said, I haven't gotten too far into it, but like it seems kind of like almost kind of how Mace Windu, like as Master of the Order, kind of like how he kind of plays off of Yoda's power, or like hierarchy. And so I think it's kind of the same way. I think Yoda still has the highest rank, because like what I found is like there's a point where he kind of just like he gives out a broad order to the entire Jedi Order. That's like he
Ooh.
just says all of you have to do this, and that again plays into how he is in the prequels. But I think Yoda still holds like the highest power, but the other two are like I think they're kind of like mediators kind of thing. But I'm not really sure. I haven't gotten too far into how like the hierarchy of it works, but
Well,
I just found that interesting.
yeah, that sounds super interesting. I hope we get to see some of that during the Acolyte, 'cause it's supposed to be 200 years before the start of the prequel trilogy. So that's something I mentioned. We should be seeing Yoda, right? And then maybe we would see some of the characters you mentioned, the Larue, uh, the other
Um,
Grandmaster's name.
La Rue and Prater.
Okay. Those are definitely definitely tough. Larue and Puerto Rico. Okay. Yeah, but it'll be cool to hopefully, see that High Republic and see some of that, and then see that transition, that more Yoda making those kind of decisions, and why they are at where they're at, where they can allow a Sith Lord to become the Chancellor under their noses and completely take over. But that, see, I'm so interested in Sith though, because they mentioned the Leslie Headland, I believe, or an actor mentioned that general story. There'll be a height of the Jedi, High Republic and all that. There might be somebody like a dark Jedi or a Jedi that falls to the dark side per se, but there's like lingering bigger evil lingering in the shadows, and like I'm hoping for like some Banite Sith, some like Darth Plagueis as Tenebrous, something leading to help lead us into that. Because like what interests me about the Bane trilogy and just that, and the Sith in general, is not necessarily their raw strength and power, but the Bane, like his philosophy is like we need to get rid of all these Sith because we're just affecting ourselves, and how we're gonna move forward is we're gonna use deception and seal ourselves, build wealth, build connections, plant stuff in the Senate and all of that to eventually be able to have one of our own take over, and plant those things with like the creation of the Republic Army and all of that, like that. And the more I think about it, I'm like, man, I really should like Andor for all of its, political workings and all that. But like, that would be, really interesting to see some of that and that. So, yeah, good question. I was happy we were able to talk a little bit Acolyte. Kind of forgot that was a thing. There's just so much going on.
Yeah, and to piggyback off what you said, I think like my theory on the Acolyte is like I feel like it'll like parallel Palpatine's story, maybe in a way where like maybe I guess the reason it exists is to show like, oh, the Sith are rising, but like their attempt to rise fails, and so it leads to how Palpatine actually becomes inspired in the future. Because as it passes down from generation to generation, you might see similarities in Acolyte to what Palpatine does, and see how he was the one that went the distance. Because like he's the overarching villain of Star Wars at the moment. All nine movies, he's the main
Yeah.
guy. So you might see like parallels to whether it's prequels, originals, or sequels to Palpatine and Acolyte, which I'm excited to see where they kind of go with that.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely would love to see Palpatine. And he says in the Rise of Skywalker, "I am all the Sith." Like he's not kidding, because the rule of two, it's really, the master kills the apprentice, master kills the apprentice, and he's the end of that line of that 1,000+ years, and the top dog per se. But
Yeah.
I guess anything else you wanna talk about? Anything in chat? On is a good person. He just works for the wrong side. But he ultimately makes evil decisions, right? You always have a choice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess. Well, I don't know. It becomes tricky when, like, well, do the Inquisitors have a choice if they were like found as a baby and then made into an Inquisitor? That's tough.
Yeah, I
Um,
feel like I feel like going off of that, like I feel like because I think most of the Inquisitors aren't they former Jedi?
yeah, former Jedi or Padawans, but it looks like they're also are trying to get in Rebels in general, like younglings per se. But yeah, usually like Padawans are
Yeah, that's what I really liked about Reva's arc from Kenobi is like that she was like a youngling and then she turned to the dark side, which I thought was interesting.
I think it's, if you have force sensitive, I think just being a normal person in general without training, and I think that's why the Jedi seek out people and their intentions are, because I think it's easier to go to the dark side in general, just from living life as it. I mean, I'm not force sensitive, but but I feel like that would kind of make sense that it would be easier to go to the dark side, especially like in Reva's case, the getting stabbed, seeing her whole order wiped out. um Definitely could see that per se. uh
Yeah.
I hope we get to see Prime Yoda and Acolyte. Yeah, I would love to see just more of that. I'd love to see some new characters too, but like definitely want to at least see Yoda there. Like you can't have a show during that and like, all right, he's just not even in it. Like you gotta like give him at least something.
Yeah, that would be really cool to see him. I'm curious because there's other Jedi that are alive during the time. I just read that Oppo Rancisis and Yariel Poof, they were on the excuse me, they're on the High Council the same time Yoda was in the High Republic. So they were much younger, but they were on the council. So I'm curious if we'll see either them show up, maybe Yaddle or Plo Koon, because I think Plo Koon I think he's 280 some when he dies, and Yaddle is 400 something. So
Wow, I didn't know
there
that
could be
about
some
Plo
really cool
Koon.
cameos.
Yeah, that could be a lot of potential. I'm excited either way for that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're wrapping up a bit here. Thanks again for coming on, Anthony. Again, Pente Patrol Star Wars. He's got other channels in general. Pente Patrol, Pente Patrol Reacts. I forget all of them, but just go check out his channel.
There's
I
too
know you
many.
got him linked. There's you got a lot going on. Yeah, we'll be on Bismo Show every Thursday, 8 p.m. CST again. Emails, questions, bismoshow@gmail.com for collaborations. Thanks again, those of you guys that showed up live, and if you're watching the VOD, appreciate you guys. Had a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on.
Thank
And
you for the invitation.
yeah, man, of course. Well, hope you guys have a great rest of your night. And got 2 more shows in between now and Ahsoka, so the time it is upon us. But yeah, see you everyone.
Have a good one.